guys, so, I tried to record this once and then I accidentally stopped the recording and I didn't mean to do that, but I didn't really get anywhere anyway, so that's alright. uh, so I've said it once, but, I'm gonna say it again because you didn't hear me say it once. But as of recording this, it is the first day of 2019, so I get to talk about New Year's and cool UnderTale fan art. Isn't that friggin' awesome? But there's not a lot to talk about New Year's. Let's tell you my opinion real quick. But New Year's is a day. That's about it. It's a day, just like every other day. You know how everyone's like, oh, it's the new year, it's gonna be a new me, and I'm like, nah, fuck that shit, I'm gonna stay the same, and you'll just have to deal with it, mates, 'cause what's the point of being different when you can just do the same shit over and over and over again, not have to change and be lazy, right? It sounds like a good enough plan to me, so that's just how I'm gonna do it, you know, that's... just makes sense to me. I just don't see the point. Like, why you gotta change? You just make yourself better. Don't completely change into a new human being. Like, jeez, man. What the hey? So let's talk about the art for a minute, because I think I'll have a more entertaining time talking about the art. So I don't even know where this idea came from. I was just sitting down one day and all of a sudden this idea for a piece of fan art of friggin' Gaster just popped into my brain and I was like, well, time to work on this now. So I sat down for about an hour drawing hands, because I'm terrible at hands, and apparently hands are a very important part of Gaster, because hands, he's the man who speaks in hands, or at least that's what we're assuming that the river person is talking about. But I just, the image popped into my brain of, like, Gaster, and he's all melted and shit, and smiling at you all creepy and reaching for you, and I was like, this sounds like a cool picture to draw. I should totally draw that. Let's draw that. So I think I sat down for at least an hour, maybe 2 hours, just drawing hands and trying to figure out a perspective that would make sense. And then I went to sleep because I was tired, and then I didn't touch it for a few days because I didn't want to. But then I was like, you know, I should probably record a video because I only have one now to upload, and I need to make sure I can upload more. So I'll just spend the last week of my break working on all that crap. Sounds like a good plan. So I got to thinking about it. And I was thinking about it all day today, really. Today's New Year's, and Mom wanted to go watch a movie, so we went to watch Aquaman, and after we left, we went and had lunch with my older brother, because he had come up for a visit for some reason. It's a long story. But I was sitting at lunch, and I finished eating, and then I got some cookies, because cookies are great, and I sat at the table at the restaurant, and I sketched out this drawing at the restaurant eating cookies with the rest of the family. That was fun. I'm not sure why I decided that needed to occur, but I did, because I just wanted to work on the drawing. But I sat there, and the first thing I did was decide that I liked this one hand that I drew, and it's basically a copy of a reference turned into, like, the Gaster skeleton hand thing that makes sense. So I lined that with some new liners that I got yesterday. By the way, they're pretty awesome. You know how Artist Loft is that brand at Michael's that everyone's like, oh, that's the cheap brand, how fucking dare you, and it's really bad for most of the supplies? Well, their fine liners are actually pretty nice. I enjoy their fine liners so far. I've only had them for a day. I'll just have to tell you about them again later if I find anything terrible with them. But I decided that I needed some thinner pens so that I could do detail work properly and stuff, and line variation and all that fun jazz. So I got some pens, and they were $12-ish for 5 pens. That's pretty good, man. That's less than $3 a pen, and like microns are $7 for one. So that's a expensive pen. It's incredible. But anyways, so I just put some lines on this one hand that I liked to make sure that I knew that was definitely the hand that I wanted in there. And then I started working on the composition real quick. I did one little small thumbnail, just one. I didn't need another one. And I decided he'd be reaching out. There would be foreshortening in this piece. Obviously, I'm not very good at foreshortening because, case in point, right here on screen, look at that, it sucks. But I decided that that's what I wanted to do, so just sort of drew out a quick little thumbnail and stuff. And then from there I decided I needed to work on his face, and while I was drawing the face I couldn't remember which side the scars actually went on, and I had them backwards, so I had to change it when I got to the actual piece, but that's okay because it still looks alright. So I got home and immediately I got my piece of watercolor paper that I had left over from doing a piece of fan art of The Right Opinion here on YouTube. Dude's great, by the way. Like, awesome channel. I really enjoy this channel. Anyways, so I sat down and the first thing I drew was that hand because I knew I could do the hand, and I figured it's in the foreground, so I might as well get it drawn and then work on where I want all the other pieces to be. So I drew it and then I lined it so that I wouldn't erase the sketch while I was working on the other parts of Gaster. And I think it took me about an hour in all to do the one hand. and I thought that was so funny because I was like, well, damn, that's a hard hand to draw, apparently. But I had lots of fun with this hand. I tried to put line variation into it on the bottom because I figured that the shadow should be like to the bottom left. I'm not sure why I decided it needed to be that way, but that's how I decided it needed to be. So that's where I put the line variation, but that didn't stick around when I went back with a different pen size. I lined most of the picture in a 0.3mm fine liner that I have, and then I went back with a thicker pen, I think a 0.5, on the parts that I wanted to be thicker, like the lines in between the finger bones and stuff, right? It made that a little bit thicker. And then at the end, I went around the entire thing with a 0.8mm fine liner, and then I went around the hand with the same 0.8 fine liner and around the bottom of the sleeve there underneath the hand, just to separate some pieces and, you know, get them further apart from each other. I figured that that would be something to do, and I think it did its job pretty well. I like the way it turned out. But, you know, I was doing this, like, I didn't know where to put most of the hatching. I looked up a few references of human skulls to figure out what exactly I wanted to do with this anime-esque cartoon skull thing. I remember that I was thinking about doing chips off his skull on the scars, like it was falling apart, and it sort of looks that way because of how thick the lines are in some places, and that's kind of deliberate, but I wanted to make it look like they were floating chips, like he's out in space, and I didn't do that because I didn't feel like it, but, you know, lazy for the win. But anyways, I did this on watercolor because I'm very into watercolors at the moment. I find them awesome. I love watercolors so much. They make me happy. And of course, I work in a bunch of media, but I really like watercolors for now. I got some more watercolors. I have 12 sets from De La Rowney now, and I have them drying currently because tube watercolor, that's what I hear you're supposed to do with tube watercolors. So I didn't use those on that one. I used my six-piece De La Rowney set that is already dried and been in the palette forever for this. So I have a very limited palette. I mixed all of the colors, and that makes me proud, you know. I had the primaries, I have a green, and then I have a black and white. And there's a bit of black in here. And I know that we've gotten way past this by now, but, you know, we're going to talk about colors. So I really have problems with backgrounds. I don't like backgrounds, but at the same time, Gaster is sort of an ethereal character, and there's not really a lot of backgrounds you can do for Gaster because he's very mysterious, and the best background we get for him in the actual game, as far as I know, is literally just that room. So I figured I'd make some splotches because that's my default anyways, and I thought it would fit the character. So I put those back there. And then it just seemed a little empty, so I looked up references of Gaster Sands and tried to draw the Gaster Blaster emblem from his Letterman jacket over there, and I did it with a water-based pen so that I could smudge it out because I didn't want it to be a super prominent part of the image. I wanted it to be sort of blurred, and I didn't get the effect that I wanted. You know how you do a Gaussian blur in like digital art? I wanted to do something like that, but it didn't quite work out. But I still like the way it came out. I think adding that little splash of red to it like I did just makes it a different enough part of the piece that it's noticeable, but at the same time it's all blurry and faded out, so it's far enough back that it's not taking away from the expression I have on Gaster and the focal point of the piece. I think that overall it helps the composition a little bit because the back, it just felt a little bit empty without it, and then I added it and I thought it made a little bit more sense. So for the colors themselves, in choosing the colors, I wanted to try, oh geez, it went off anyways. I wanted to try a complementary kind of shading pattern, at least on the bone parts, because I didn't want them to just be white, you know, that would be boring. So I started by putting a very, very light wash of blue on there, because I was like, okay, blue is a good color, that'll bring it into the background. And I wanted to shade it with purple, because I like shading things with purple anyways. So I started with that, and I was gonna do, like, what's it called? I forgot. I don't know what it is. I was going to do some lighting effect, but that didn't work because watercolors are a little hard to control. So on the other side where it was lighter, I did very light yellow, and for shadows I did a very light purple. His little sweater is like a greeny yellow, purpley, weird gray thing that's going on, at least during the watercolor stage. And at the end, I got out my watercolor pencils, which are a gift from my uncle. I really like these watercolor pencils. They're great on top of watercolors to add details and contrast, and I knew I was going to need to use them because I'm bad at contrast anyways. So it's helpful to have an extra medium to use on top of something similar. You know, it's just helpful. So I got them out and deepened the purple and the yellows, and I added some pinks into his skull because I thought it would look interesting, and it did. So more color variation, yay! And then into his trench coat, I added some blues in the lighter areas because I figured that would look nice, but most of his trench coat is in blacks. And then in his sweater is where I added the greens and stuff just to darken up some places and make it look a little bit better. And I think I succeed. I think it's a pretty piece of fan art. I'm very proud of it. I know it's not the best, and I can definitely do better if I tried hard enough, but I'm very proud of the way it came out now. But that's what I got to say, I guess. This audio has been going on long enough. So thanks for listening to my ramble. I'm glad to have you here, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye-bye! You can follow me on social media, where you'll find posts of all my art. Any of my finished pieces are uploaded to DeviantArt, and I post works in progress as well as daily month-long challenges works on Twitter. If you like my style and want a piece of your own, I do commissions on DeviantArt and have a Zazzle shop. Links in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and comment. I would love to read what you guys have to say. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.